Good day, my dear students. Welcome to our first lesson in statistics and probability. So, allow me to share with you our presentation for our lesson this time. So, our subject once again is statistics and probability. Our first lesson is called the random variables. Are we ready? Please prepare your module as we go through with our discussion. Okay, what is it? What's a random variable? I know the word variable, you're very familiar with that word since in lower years you always associate if it's random variable, it could be any variable, right? And sometimes it's associated with letters or denoted by letters like X, Y. Makita ganing X and Y. No, makulbaan na ta, mawindang na ta, lisoda naman eh. Daga naman yung letters, no? So, I know you're very familiar with that. But this time we will explore more into random variables. When I say random variable, it is a variable that would assume values by chance. So take for instance, so it comes from random events. If you have seen on the side of the presentation, there's the random event of flipping a coin. Familiar man tag coin, no? Nakoy piso. It's actually an event which we do not know what's the possible outcome, right? It has something to do with chances. So, for example, I will let X be my random variable and uh, it represents the head that would occur or the tail, no? Tail. Ang atong gusto mahitabo, ang outcome is a tail. Now, what happens is that when I flip the coin, it appears that okay, head. So the value of our x is 0. Why? Because I'm aiming for a tail. Ang nigawas is head. So 0 ay ang possible value. Second, I flip a coin. When I flip the coin, the result is a tail. Since I'm looking for a tail nga outcome and tail nigawas, so the possible random variable for x represents 1. In short, it could be that the possible value of the random variable, it's either 0 or 1, right? Okay. You will know that more later on. Now, there are two types of random variables. First is discrete, second is continuous. Very easy to differentiate. How to do it? Mintag discrete, usually it's a numerical value associated with outcomes. So it's either finite or infinite, whose values are countable. Like for example, 0, 1, 2, 3. Those are countable values and usually whole numbers. When I say continuous, this has infinite numerical values associated with interval on the number line system without any gaps or breaks. So usually, na siya mga decimal points. Para mas masabtan, let's try to look at this example. Discrete. For example, there are 5 eggs in the baskets. There are 10 kids in the class. Or I have 1,000 likes in Facebook. Diba? You won't say, uy, I have 1,000.5 likes in Facebook. Kasi itong 0.5. Tunga-tunga sa thumbs up. I have 1,000 hearts. Some hearts, broken heart. Tunga. Diba? It's usually in whole numbers. You couldn't express that one in decimals. Next is I have five number of times you change the diaper in a day, or 10,000 wins, or 100 wins in a season, or 100 votes. That's usually countable. Next is continuous. To say continuous, we have here like a continuous scale on the number line system. Like weight difference to 8 decimals before and after cookie binge. Then we have wind speed. Like for example, the wind speed is like 20.5 meter per hour or something like that. Or water temperature, like you would say, it's 100.3 degrees Celsius or 3.7 degrees Celsius. Volts, like 10.5 volts or 2.5 volts, like that. So it's just very easy. Just have to identify that discrete is usually countable in whole numbers, continuous, it's continuous in scale, usually in decimals. Okay? So I think you're now ready to answer what's more. So for what's more, I'd like to emphasize na kinahanglan you will be using a separate sheet of paper in answering. It's because I'm planning to reutilize your modules for the upcoming year. If the setup will still be the same, kaya daghanag yung mga kahoy ang nangaputol, no? So we will save. So I hope that you keep your modules. There are no writing, you're not allowed to write anything in the modules. Ayaw, pud kumus-kumusa, no? Mura nag-ilo in tawag porma, no? So use a clean separate sheet of paper for your activity. So please pause this video and answer the activity. Please be honest. Marami akong mga mata na nakatingin sa inyo ngayon, no? So if you are with your classmates, you can just ask how, but do not ask what's the answer. It's just how, okay? Pause this video. Okay, very good. Good job. You did it right. So if you have questions and concerns, you can always chat me at our scheduled time. Okay, so let's now proceed to lesson number 2. Okay, possible values of a random variable. So to fully understand what's this, let's immediately go to the example. No? Wow, ano ba yan? Samsung na cellphone, giveaway ni ma'am. Kita ko maminaw, i-giveaway daw ni ma'am. Bitaw, no? So I'm just representing that sa atong example. So suppose there are 3 cell phones tested at a random. Imagine there's a cell phone manufacturer, and then these cell phones are actually tested at a random, say at a random, so hulbut-hulbut lang, no? We want to find out the number of defective cell phones that would occur. So for each outcome in the sample space, we assign a value. So kung walay defective nga phone, pagkuha nimo sa 3 cell phones, walay defective phone sa tulo, you're going to write 0. If nay usa, 1. If duha, 2, of course. If 3, 3. Okay, how to do this? Okay, first, by the way, I know this is not found in the module, but I just enhance it since the module gikan asa siya sa DO, no? But for our discussion, para yun mas masabdan ninyo, no? Kay ba ko nga gali sujud murog answer or sabot sa ubang mga topics. I hope this is one of the way I could help you out, no, with our discussion. So 3 cell phones. Now I have here a tree diagram. It's a very effective technique if you want to know all the possible outcomes. So imagine, sa first, daghan man tong phones, di ba? Okay, you got 1 phone. Kuha mo sa cellphone. Okay, duha ragi possible outcomes, di ba? Either ang first nga cellphone nga imong nakuha, defective or not defective. D for defective, N for not defective, right? Okay, karon, nakagawa sa usa ka cellphone. When you got the second phone at a random, okay, mao na siya mahitabo. It's either defective or not. Yeah, sa, di ba, pares man to, no? Pananglitan, ang first thing mo nga phone nakuha, defective. So, ang posibilidad nga, ikaduha nga phone nga imong makuha, either defective siya or dili. Katong phone pod, pwede pod siya not defective. So, either pod siya maparisan siya defective o not defective. Nakuha? Third phone, siya na lang. So, mo yung mga possible outcomes. Ikatulong nga phone na pod, katong phone nga, first phone nga, pananggitan defective, defective, sa pagka-third time defective gihapon, so, puro defective. So, like that. Okay, I hope I could, I can do annotation here. Wait sa no? So, explore lang tapos my time. I'm going to draw. So this one, for example, this one. First item is defective. Oh, second phone na pud nimo, pwede defective siya. Pagka third item, pwede nga the result will be either defective or dili defective. So these are the possible combinations. That's my point here. So the possible outcomes would be is that so naman siya, no? Di naman mo next. Okay, so we're gonna erase those annotation. Okay, murag erase. Saan ka erase? Okay, itong erase kay murag mo carry over sa next nga slides na to. Okay, so we have here these are the following samples. So in this case, the possible combination would be D, D, D. Pagkuhanin mo, defective, sunod, defective, defective. Ikaduhang combination could be defective, defective, not defective. Katulo, defective, not defective, defective. So in short, there are 8 possible outcomes, diba? 8 ka posibilidad nga mauni mahitabo. Pwedeng tanan defective, pwedeng tanan dili defective, na duha defective, usa defective. So this is a very good technique. It's called a tree diagram. Okay, so here I wrote all the outcomes. Diba? We have the sample points, DDD. So mo na siya imong isuwat anhing adaptive. Possible outcomes, NNN, NND, tanang combination yung nakitaan. Now, value of the random variable X or number of defective cell phones, so what happens is that anang first row, NNN man, so no, not defective. So walay defective, so 0. Kaduha, not niya, defective. Na may usa ka defective, so 1, kay usa ka defective. NDN, o usa ka defective. DNN, usa ka defective. NDD, o duha man ka D, so duha ka defective, 2. DND, duha ka defective. DDN, duha ka defective. And then DDD, so tulo ka bak defective. In short, 3 possible values of the random variable X. That's either 0, walay defective, usay defective, duhay defective, tulo ang defective. So that is... Okay, so we will now answer what's more. Directions, you have to solve the given problem and show your solution. So please take note that you will be using a separate sheet of paper. So we have here 4 coins are tossed. Then you have to let Z be the random variable representing the number of heads that occur. You have to find the value of the random variable X. So to help you out solve this one, I'm providing here a clue for your tree diagram. So we have here, I hope this diagram would help. So first toss or first flip, so what are the possible outcomes? Second flip, what are the possible outcomes? Third, fourth, until you write all the possible outcomes. So once you have written all the possible outcomes, you can write that one here now in this table. So this is the format of your answer sheet. So you have to write all the possible outcomes. So for example, your possible outcome would be head, 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 head. So the value of the random variable Z, you're going to write here 4. So that's an example. So it's time for you to answer. Please pause this video and answer what's more. Take note, answer honestly. Okay, good job. You're done with it. So we will now proceed to lesson number 3. This would be the last lesson for this module. It's called the discrete probability distribution. So what's a discrete probability distribution? So it's also known as a probability mass function, which consists of values of a random variable that can assume and the corresponding probabilities of the values. So what in discrete probability distribution, you have to take note that there are two properties, very important properties to know a probability distribution. So first is the probability of each value of the random variable must be between or equal to 0 and 1. So in symbol, we write it as probability of X is greater than or equal to 0 or less than or equal to 1. I think 1 is missing there in the slide. Number 2, the sum of the probabilities of all values of the random variable must be equal to 1. I will explain that one with our example. So take for instance this one. If you're going to look at it, the number of blue balls X is 0. So this is the probability mass function of discrete random variable X, which represents the blue balls and the probability P of X. So for example, 0, the probability of getting a blue ball is 0. So that's 1/4 probability of getting one blue ball is 1/2, and the probability of getting two blue balls, it's 1/4. So the first property says that the random variable must be between or equal to 0 and 1. If you're going to look at it, 1/4, which is in decimal 0.25, 1/2, which is 0.50 in decimal, take note that it should not be less than 0 or greater than 1, your probability. So if you answer in the probability part, the P of X, you answer there 10/3. So it's very sure that it's really wrong. So it should be less than 1 but greater than 0. Get it? Second property is that when you add the probabilities, it will result into 1. Let's try to see. So we're going to add 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4 and 1/2. So how do you add that one? You can have it in decimal, or you can make it first into similar fractions. The answer will still be the same. So for now, we're gonna use it could be decimal, okay? Since don't have the same denominator. So you can have 0.25, 1/4 is 0.25 plus 0.5, kanang 1/2, so 0.75 na to, plus 0.25, so the result would be equal to 1. So that's the second property. Dapat ang sum sa tanang probability, 1. And then dapat ang every probability, it should not be greater than 1. It should like 1.5. Di siya pwede. So dapat between 0 to 1. Okay, so we have here another example. Suppose 3 coins are tossed. Let y be the random variable representing the number of tails that occur. Find the probability of each of the values of the random variable y. So I'll be providing here the steps so that you will be guided. First step, you have to determine the sample space. So as what I've said, a tree diagram would help you. First so when you flip first a coin, so either head or tail mo gawas. Ikaduhan nimong flip, head or tail, head, tail. Katulo na po nimong flip, pwede nga head, tail, head, tail, head, tail, head, tail. So mo ni mga 8 possible outcomes. Those 8 possible outcomes, that's what you're gonna write in the solution part. If you could see, sample space here, the one with the red. So S is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 8 possible outcomes with 8 different combination. That is how to find out what are all the possible nga mahitabo or outcomes. Step number 2 is you count the number of tails in each outcome. So gisuwat naman na nato no kanang possible outcomes. Try to look at step 2. I-write nimo ng 8 kabuk possible outcomes, then gipangita nato is value of the random variable y, number of tails. So first TTT, so 3 man ka tails, so 3. TTH, so 2 kay duha ra man ka tail. THT 2, HTT 2 tails, HHT 1, HTH 1, THH 1, then HHH head, so 0, walay tail ni gawas. Okay ra, nasabtan ra? So, sa step 3 na to, we're gonna find out the probability. How to do this one? So, first, you're going to list, unsay mo makita anang value of random variable, di ba? 4 raman na ka mga numbers, imong makita. 0 nga number, 1, 2, ug 3. Kana nga mga number, muna imong isuwat aning step 3, number of tails. 0, 1, 2, 3. Now, how did you get probability P of y? Try to look at step 2. Sa atong makita sa step 2, di ba? Ang 0, pila kabuk 0 sa step 2? Di ba? Usa sa 8. So, mana siyang 1/8. Then, next, 1. Pila man kabuk 1 anang step 2 ngayon mo makita kanang nay red. Di ba? 3 kabuok. So, 3 sa 8. So, 3 out of 8. Then, there are also 3 number 2s. So, we have here 3/8. And last one, usara may 3. So, 1/8. Nakuha? Let's proceed to step 3. So, pagka step 3, you're gonna write now this table which shows the probability distribution on the probability mass function of discrete random variable y. If you have seen 0, So, ang possibility nga 0 nga tail mo gawas, usa sa 8 ka outcomes. Probability nga 1 tail mo gawas, 3 out of 8 outcomes. Then we have 2, 3 of 8 outcomes. And for 3, 1 of 8. Okay, now, to check if it follows the property first, diba? The first property, it should be that the probability is greater than 0 but less than 1. If you have noticed, 1, 8, 3, 8, 3, 8, and 1, 8, these are all, if you're gonna convert it into decimal form, these are all greater than 0 but less than 1. So second property is that it should sum up to 1. So since these are similar fractions, you can simply add the numerator. So you're gonna add the numerator 1 plus 3 plus 3 plus 1. The result is 8, right? So 8 over 8 or 1. So it follows the second property. Now, after that one, you're gonna make here a histogram. So what is a histogram? So when we talk of a histogram, these are probability distribution, somewhat like a graph. So to make the histogram, you have to plot the values of random variables along the horizontal axis. Malibog tanong, sa man ang horizontal o vertical, ma'am? Okay, I'll give you a funny clue for this, but I hope you will remember this. Horizontal higda. Ho, ho, ho. Horizontal higda. So, kana siya. Kanang gahigda nga line sa ubos. Kana siya imuhang random variable. Ang probabilities nasa vertical axis. Vertical V, varog. Varog. Ano siya? So, you can write here probabilities. Actually, in the probability part, you can decide if it's 0.0 ka, tapos 0.1, 0.2, 0. Depende na nimo, no? It's up to you. But in this case, it uses the scales or difference of 0.05. So, kadungog mo, no? Okay, nilabay ang birhen. Salamat Ginoo sa paglabay ug pag-guide namo. Okay, let's pause for a while. Okay, so can we proceed now? Okay, we're so nakaibaw dyan mo nga gabi dyan in town ko gagabaan ng video. Okay, let's now proceed. So in plotting the probabilities along the vertical axis, you can change fractions to decimal. So actually, even if it's stated there, I decided to flash it on the other side. Tanawa ha, kaning ubos. So we have here 1/8. Try to look at the arrow. In decimal, that's 0.125. 3/8 is 0.375. Then we have 3/8 is 0.375. Then 1/8 is 0.125. So what happens there is that, try to look at the probability, ang 0 nasa dapit sa 0.125. So for a while ha, I'm gonna use annotation. Drawing na sad si mama or masabtan. So this is 1 to 5. So here, and that is 0. So what you're gonna do is, you have to place it part here. So 0, kay mama ni siya number of tails. 0.125. So we're gonna place it here because 0.125 is in between 0.10 and 0.15. So nasa dapit sa tunga-tunga. So you can just simply estimate. So that's the one that you're gonna write in blue. Next, we have 0.375. So the same thing. The number of tails is 1. So 1, tapos 0.375 is somewhere here. So like that. By the way, the difference of a histogram and a graph, bar graph, is that in histogram, kabantay mo walay gap, sumpay ra siya tanan in nag-drawing ninyo sa graph. Okay? So I hope it's understood. Okay, so we're gonna proceed now to the next part. I hope it's understood. So that's how to make the histogram. Okay, so next one would be, okay, what's more? Okay, you're gonna pause this video and answer what's more. But I also flash here the instructions. So first activity is, you have to determine whether the distribution represents a probability distribution, and you have to explain your answer. So this is the part where you have to check or try to review the two properties. First property, is the probability greater than 0 but less than 1? O, check siya. Kung if number 1 follows that, na less than 1 but greater than 0, oh, 1 check. Ikaduha, if you're gonna add all the probabilities, will it equate to 1? Another check. So that's a probability distribution. If one of those properties will not be, how they call this one, it will not be satisfied, then that's not a probability distribution and you have to explain. Okay, then for the second part, what's more, so you're going to construct the probability of a random variable z. So we have here 2 balls are drawn in succession without replacement from an urn containing 5 red balls and 6 blue balls. So sa isa ka container na siya isod urn, that's a container actually. So na siya isod nga 5 red balls ug 6 blue balls. So imong buhaton na nakoy tree diagram sa kilid para na kay guide. So first nimong pick unsa may possible yung color nga makuha nimo. Isuwating mo diha. Ikaduha na sa nimong pick ay 2 balls man. Pag ikaduha na mong pick sa ball, unsa na po possibility nga mga color. And then at the end, you're gonna write the number of blue balls plus the probability of P and Z. So pwede ra mo refer sa atong previous nga example aron ma-answer na siya. Okay? Okay, so pause this video. You can do it. Okay, great job. I think you're done. So it's also time that you're going to do your assessment. So for the assessment, I think it's a multiple choice. You just pick the write the answer that corresponds to the correct answer in each question. I hope you do well, and please take note, you can do it, and you can just ask your classmates, or you can ask me if there are things not very much clear to you. Pwede nalibog mo, but please do not ask the answer, okay? Please, by all means, think that you have to learn. We have to learn. And I tell you, statistics and probability will be used for practical research. So if you do not know this, okay, lagi nangopya ra, or si mama nag-answer, or si ate nag-answer, si kuya, o kinsa pa ba na, for sure, masakpan nagyapon po kay inag statistics nato sa inyong practical research, I would definitely know if you know or not. So please, let's learn together, and I know you can do this. Okay? Answer now. God bless and good luck. Okay, I think you're done. So that's it. You can pause the video some more kung mapanahon man. Okay, so that's the end. I just wanted to say you are doing an awesome job. Keep it up. Again, for questions, you can always chat me. Chat, I'm just one chat away. So keep calm and keep learning. God bless everyone and have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Thank you.